Hey there and welcome back to XCOM. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our XCOM Enemy Within Ironman Impossible walkthrough. Before we begin, two quick things, however both of them are related to the series, more specifically to two achievements. The first one is the up and running achievement, which you can see on screen right now. However, we actually unlocked it way back at the beginning of this playthrough, back when we built our very first base facility. I believe that was in episode 2. And there is really not much more to say about this one, I simply overlooked it, so yeah, let's mark it off on our completionist checklist now as well. The second achievement I briefly want to talk about is the Ain't No Cavalry Coming achievement, which will be unlocked if we have at least one soldier survive every single mission in the entire game. That also means that we need to have at least one soldier participate in every single mission of the game, and that is also the reason why the original 4 soldiers that we started the playthrough with are still with us on every single mission. Technically, we only need one of them to make it through until the end, but constantly switching out the other 5 is of course a very risky approach, so for now Adam, Andrea, Emilia and Roselius will remain the core of our squad. I just wanted to quickly mention that because I've received several questions now in the comments asking why we're always taking these 4, and now you know the reason. And that is already all I wanted to say, so without any further ado, let us jump into today's episode.
Contact detected.
Once again, we don't really have much of a choice regarding what we want to do next, because as you can see here, at the end of the last episode we received a report of a large scout landing in Japan, so that is our mission for today, as we will send our squad out to investigate the alien UFO. Our squad will remain as it is, with a MEC Trooper and 2 heavies. I suspect we're going to run into a few Mutons on this mission, and having a second heavy along might make those encounters a bit easier.
This is Big Sky. We're in position near the enemy LZ. Strike 1 is ready to move on your orders.
I read you, Big Sky. This was a landing, not a crash, so expect heavy resistance.
And here we are, it is nighttime and we're in the forest. Somewhere ahead of us is the alien UFO, but we cannot see it at the moment. Apart from that, this mission will very likely be fairly straightforward. Despite talk of heavy resistance, I suspect we'll run into 3 to 4 groups of enemies. Like I said, maybe a few Mutons among them, and then, as usual, there will be the outsider as the final enemy. We also have 2 melt containers to keep in mind, but for now none of them are in sight. So let's start advancing here with Emilia, who goes into full cover and reveals absolutely nothing. Maybe Roselius has a bit more luck as he moves into half cover right next to her. Keep in mind this counts as full cover for him, and who can now throw a battle scanner straight ahead as far as he can.
Eagle eye on the move.
Alright, and what a throw it was, revealing not only the first of 2 melt containers of this mission, but also our first group of hostiles. And these 3 guys should not be underestimated. So far we have only encountered a single Muton as part of the Friends in Low Places mission in episode 9, but now we have 3 of them here, well protected and fairly dangerous offensively as well, however, luckily for us, with no idea that we're coming. Now I think it's safe to say that we will use at least 1 rocket in this encounter, ideally though before the Mutons discover us and spread out. And for that reason, let us move up both of our heavies as far as we can, otherwise they might not be able to reach the enemies. Also, as you can see, the enemies are behind a small plateau here, so getting at least a slight bit of elevation might be useful for the next turn. Since we're already in the process of dashing, we might as well move everyone up to the front lines. That includes Assault Adam Work as well as our MEC Trooper Mahoney, whose presence conveniently also provides a +10 defense bonus to everyone around him. Lastly then, we can also use the rest of the movement that Emilia still has, putting her on our right flank and once again into full cover. This ends our turn and now the Mutons are up, but they haven't seen us yet, and so they calmly wander around, coming to a stop in a neat line here, one next to the other. This presents us now with several options. We could use a rocket with a fairly large blast radius with Shoji, but I would like to save that for enemies that are a bit more spread out, so let's go with a regular rocket from Andrea, saving the Shredder rocket for a potential floater appearance.
Eat this.
And Andrea finds the target, spares the meld and does 6 points of damage to all 3 enemies, who have now been activated and consequently make their way into cover. And we could now use a rocket from Shoji to take care of this quickly, but I don't think we have to, as we should be able to get into flanking positions fairly easily.
Going in for the
And first up is our Assault Adam, who can activate a run and gun and then get himself into half cover. I would have liked him to get a little closer to the action, but his safety comes first, and from here he still has a 96% chance to hit. And that is enough to get us the first kill, but hopefully not the last. Up next it is Emilia's turn, who can also get herself into a moderately protected flanking position, and from there take another high percentage shot. And that leaves only one, but it's in full cover, so let's get a little creative. We'll start things off with MEC Trooper Mahoney, who can use his collateral damage ability to obliterate the tree that the Muton is hiding behind, and to also deal 2 points of damage in the process.
No ammunition remaining.
And this opens the path for Heavy Shoji Jang, who can now hopefully land the killing blow with a 76% hit chance. And he does. Very nice. We would have had a pistol shot from Rosilius as a backup, but luckily with all 3 Mutons down we no longer have a use for that, so let's bring Mr. Woggle up to join the rest of the squad and then end our turn. No new enemies come into sight and the melt is right ahead of us. Additionally, it is also one of the rare spots around us offering full cover, so let's get Emilia over there and grab it while we have a quiet moment here. With the rest of the squad we can follow Emilia's lead. Adam can move up a bit and then use the rest of his turn to reload his shotgun, while Sniper Rosilius will go into full cover behind the tree here and then switch over to his pistol to go on Overwatch. Heavy Shoji Jang can join him and go on Overwatch as well, and so can Emilia, while Andrea Cook can dash into full cover near the front line. MEC Trooper Mahoney can also move up as far as he can while preserving an action, and then use that action to reload his minigun.
Ready to engage hostile targets.
That completes another turn, and now we hear movement coming over from the left, while Emilia also senses the second melt container somewhere ahead of us. Ahead of us we can also see the outlines of the alien spacecraft, so we are moving in the right direction. And we will continue to do that by sending Emilia into full cover behind the tree trunk here, giving us a slightly better view of the UFO, but luckily not revealing any new hostiles. We also want to keep that small entrance over to the left here in mind, as that might be a very good point to enter the ship. For now though, we can once again move up our troops. Rosilius will dash into full cover, the same is true for Adam, who will join Emilia near the tree. Andrea meanwhile can get into full cover using up only half her turn, while Shoji has to dash as well to get behind the tree next to Rosilius. Emilia and Andrea can then both go on Overwatch to keep us safe, while Nicholas moves into the middle of the pack to give his defense bonus to as many people as possible, while simultaneously also going on Overwatch. So, another turn passes. Once again we don't see any alien movement. With the ship right ahead of us though, I suspect we'll soon run into them. For now though, we can't do much more but to press on, and we'll do so as usual with Emilia, who can run behind the next tree here and remain in full cover. Now Adam unfortunately has to dash because he can't quite reach the position I have in mind for him, but we have no aliens in sight so he should be fine, and it now allows Andrea to move into position right next to him.
Enemy in sight.
That exact position, however, comes with a cost, because it reveals just one additional tile on the map. However, that one is apparently home to 2 Seekers. Now, as usual, they have activated their stealth mode and have vanished, but Rosilius here has a second battle scanner ready, so let's have him move up a bit and then throw that to break the enemy's stealth.
Getting a better look.
And here they are, both of them are airborne. That means they are a little harder to hit with conventional weapons. Ideally, we would now use a shredder rocket to deal with this quickly, but unfortunately Andrea has already moved on this turn, and so we can't actually fire one. Still, since half of our squad has already moved and is therefore not as flexible as I would like them to be, we will go with the explosive approach regardless, as we simply use a rocket with Heavy Zhang. Yes, the wider blast radius of that rocket might have been useful against a widely spread out group of enemies, but then again we are about to enter the UFO in a few turns, and inside of the ship a large blast radius might actually do more harm than good. In any case, we can add 2 explosive kills to our list, pushing the total up to 46, and we can now focus on ending our turn by moving up the rest of our squad. As a MEC Trooper, Nicholas Mahoney does not benefit from cover, so he will stay out and in the middle of everyone. This once again gives a nice defensive bonus while he still has an action left to overwatch. Mrs. Solberg meanwhile can reload her laser rifle, while Andrea also keeps an eye out, and since Shoji already fired his rocket, he can't move anymore, so our turn ends right here. No further alien movement, but we are once again reminded of the melt location. Instead of waltzing straight into the alien UFO, however, we'll do this a bit more carefully. For that purpose, we can dash Emilia over to the left side of the door here. Very important here is that she does not peek around the corner, otherwise we might reveal additional hostiles that we're not well equipped to deal with at the moment. Joining Emilia on that left side of the door is then Assault Adam Work. On the right side, meanwhile, we'll take a position with Andrea and we'll make sure not to dash with her, because we want to have at least a few members of our squad on Overwatch at the end of the turn. That also includes a MEC Trooper Nicholas Mahoney, so we'll move him up as far as we can and then activate Overwatch afterwards. Heavy Shoji Jang, meanwhile, is too far away to do anything meaningful without a full dash, so let's bring him up and put him into half cover right behind Nicholas. Lastly then we have Rosilius, who will also dash, but doing so in 2 separate turns. That way we make sure he does not reveal too much of what lies on the other side of the entrance. Alright, turn complete. We once again hear movement but don't see anyone, and we could in theory now open up the entrance and take a look inside of the UFO. However, let's take one extra turn here to prepare. Yes, this might hurt our chances of grabbing the second melt container, but in the end, the survival of our squad is much more important than that. So, Heavy Zhang moves up into a breaching position opposite of Adam. He can then reload his weapon while Emilia goes on Overwatch. Rosilius then moves up a few tiles to the left to get a good view of the entrance, and for now he also remains on Overwatch. And the same is true for Adam, Andrea and Nicholas as well. Nicholas, however, can move into a slightly more strategic position first.
Moving to position.
On the alien's turn, we neither hear nor see anything, so I would say it's time to take a look inside of the UFO. Alright, and right behind the entrance we are running into 3 more Mutons, who are now all quickly spreading out to find full cover positions. Now, this could become a bit more of a challenge, because with 10 hit points each we have quite a lot of damage to do to defeat this group. After a bit of thinking, I came up with a promising approach though, so let's start things off with Mr. Adam Work, who can move up to flank the Muton on the left here, and who can then land 2 guaranteed hits with his rapid fire ability. Thanks to the Reaper rounds, he also has a 90% chance to land a critical on each shot, and as you can see, that pays off as the first of 3 Mutons goes down. That leaves 2 more, but we also have 5 soldiers ready for the task, and up next is MEC Trooper Nicholas Mahoney.
Heading to that location.
We will move him up just a few tiles to put him in a good spot to use the flamethrower. That weapon conveniently ignores most cover, its range is long enough to hit both enemies, and it will do a guaranteed 6 points of damage. Okay, I honestly did not expect that to happen. Because it was set on fire, the Muton here panics. As a result, it rushes straight towards Adam, and because it comes within 4 tiles, his close combat specialist ability activates, and that already gives us kill number 2. Even though the third Muton also panicked and moved back a bit, we are now in a solid position to take it out on this turn. A simple grenade from Andrea would already guarantee us the kill, but let's hold off on the explosives for now and send in Emilia first. And indeed, not only does she hit, but she also does max damage, and that gets us the kill. So another nest of Mutons lies defeated without even having a chance to attack. As a result of our quick success, we even have movement left with our 2 heavies, and because the melt is supposed to be somewhere over there, let us already send them both into breaching positions on the sides of the next door here. Not counting the outsider, we probably only have 1 more group of aliens to deal with, so we can be a little bit more aggressive here, although of course we still want to remain cautious. Sniper Rosilius will also join the 2 again and get into a position with a good view of the door again, and that also ends a very successful turn for us. No movement on the alien's turn, so let's push on and see what lies in the room ahead of us. If there are enemies inside, we should have enough movement to reach them. Luckily though, that is not the case, and we do even hear where that last group might be hiding, so let's rinse and repeat and get both of our heavies into position on the sides of the next door. Mr. Woggle then once again gets himself behind the door as well, this time however in a slightly elevated position and at least for him in full cover. Thanks to her large movement range, Emilia can dash into cover right next to him, and with that we already have a decent breaching squad assembled. As you might be able to notice, I am pushing a bit for time here at the moment, simply because we still haven't recovered or even located the second melt container, and ideally I would like to grab that before time runs out. For the time being though, let's worry about moving up the rest of the squad first. MEC Trooper Mahoney will dash, and that brings him just barely into the room as well, while with Adam we have a decision to make. Because he fired his shotgun 3 times on the last turn, it might now be a good time to reload, however that might leave him a bit detached from the rest of the group. So instead, while he still has the ability to fire once more, let us use a dash with him as well to join up with the rest of the crew. The alien's turn then passes by without any incidents, and we will not waste another one to prepare. Instead, let us disable the force field now and see what lies beyond.
The alien flight computer could prove to be extremely useful in our own research. Please take great care in returning it to the base in one piece.
Alright, not only do we stumble upon what is probably the last group of enemies on this mission, but Dr. Valen also informs us of the very valuable alien flight computer that is nearby. Now, this is where things get a bit confusing, because a large scout like this does not hold only one alien flight computer, but instead 4. Even more problematic is the fact that they do not all look the same. So this thing right here providing half cover to the first thin man, that is in fact a flight computer. However, the large pillars to the left and right of it are not part of it. So, as we now fire a shredder rocket with Andrea, we want to make sure to destroy that back pillar, which provides full cover, but we want to spare the flight computer in front of it. And here we go, that does 4 points of damage to all 3 enemies, and the rocket also destroys the cover of the 2 thin men in the back. And so it is now time to clean up. That should be easy. Heavy Shoji-Jang is close by and therefore up first. And while he has a guaranteed hit against the thin man in the back, we will take the shot against the one right in front of him, as a 99% chance to hit against an enemy in cover is very hard to pass up. As you may have noticed, while he was moving up, Shoji also revealed the melt container, which will unfortunately expire after this turn. So not only do we need to kill 2 more thin men, ideally we also want to grab the melt before this turn comes to an end. For now though, the thin men are the more pressing issue, however one that we can deal with relatively easily. A guaranteed hit from Resilience's sniper rifle removes opponent number 2, and for number 3 we can send in Emilia, who now also has a guaranteed hit, and with that a guaranteed kill. And this leaves Adam and his run and gun ability to grab the melt, and even with that ability he is just barely able to reach it. However, alternatively we could have also used collateral damage to simply remove the wall here. That would have shortened his path a bit, but is thankfully not necessary.
10-4. In hand, Commander.
MEC Trooper Mahoney can therefore now move freely, and he will move up right next to the door here, behind which we will probably find the outsider. Since the melt has been collected, we can take our time to prepare for this final assault, even though we're facing only a single comparatively weak enemy, so this might also be a bit overly cautious. Still, we'll move up Andrea, put her on Overwatch and do the same with Nicholas, before we then reload the weapons of Shoji and Emilia. Roselius can get a bit closer to the action as well, while Adam can now finally reload his shotgun, but not before moving a bit closer to the door himself. Unsurprisingly, nothing happens on the alien's turn, so let's open the door leading into the next room. While we don't see anyone yet, we hear something, and that is enough to reveal that the outsider is in fact in this room, so let's send in Emilia to activate it.
Look sharp. Enemies rolling up.
The outsider moves into full cover right next to her, but it can still be easily flanked here, so let's do that right away as we send in Heavy Andrea Cook for the first shot. Unfortunately though, she only does 3 points of damage, so the outsider is still standing, but hopefully not for long, as MEC Trooper Mahoney can go next.
Commander, the operation was a success.
And there we are, with a critical hit we wrap up this mission in Japan. A smooth one as always. Let's get back to the base.
We're certainly not leaving any question as to our ability to fight the alien threat. Excellent work all around, Commander.
Alright, back in the base, Emilia catches up with Rosilius, Adam and Andrea, as she finally also receives her promotion to Major. As a result, she unlocks the Deep Pockets ability, which grants her 1 extra use for all limited use items in her inventory. If she had, for example, a grenade equipped, she could now throw that twice. Her medkit, meanwhile, can now be used up to 4 times, because she already receives 2 bonus uses from the Field Medic ability. Her smoke grenade, meanwhile, is not an item but an ability, so therefore it remains unaffected. Looking at the loot from this mission, we see a sizable list here. Not only did we obtain good amounts of Illyrium alloys and weapon fragments, but we also took care and recovered all 4 UFO flight computers intact. And so here we are with another mission under our belt, and we don't really have anything else to take care of at the moment, so let's jump right back into mission control and continue scanning. However, we will stop as soon as we hit the 11th of May. Because today marks the day where we have exactly 20 days left until the next council report, and so we want to buy some satellites now.
Commander, our current satellite uplink facilities are at full capacity. We should build additional uplinks as soon as possible to allow for new satellite deployments.
Now, as usual, we will ignore that we don't actually have the capacity to launch them yet. That will change as soon as we build the next uplink in a few days. That uplink is also a special one, because it gets adjacency bonuses not from 1 but from 2 other uplinks. And that is also the reason why instead of 3 we're ordering 4 satellites this month, because our capacity will increase by 4 as soon as that uplink is built. So, with 4 satellites in construction and only 1 more day until the completion of our next research project, I would say let's continue scanning again. Who knows what we'll find next.
We have a secure transmission coming in from the Council, Commander.
Alright, looks like we have our next mission coming in. This one is our very first bomb disposal mission, a council mission. Not necessarily an easy type of mission by any means, but the reward here is absolutely fantastic. We get cash and scientists and a panic reduction in Germany. That is certainly a reward package to look forward to. However, as you may have guessed already, we will not begin this mission in today's episode. Instead, we will make the cut right here and then hopefully complete it in the next one. Until then, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. And if you want to support me and my channel further, then you can go and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alternatively, you can also support the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.